Hey, folks, the system supporting creative people is broken, and the COVID-19 crisis is making it more obvious than ever. Patreon helps creators build a more sustainable income source by offering a monthly membership to their fans. Fans then get access to an exclusive community, premium content, and the chance to become active participants in the work they love. Check out patreon.com now and join the millions of fans and creators who are changing the way art is valued together. That's patreon.com. All right, let's do the show.
Lock the gate!
All right, let's do this. How are you, what the fuckers, what the fuck buddies, what the fucksters? What's happening? Marc Maron here. How's it going? You all right? Did you get done with that thing? Hey, is there really a hurry on that? Is there? I mean, come on. Spread it out. We got time. Welcome to the show. Thanks for coming. A lot of you might be new here because I have a amazing guest, a real movie star. Cate Blanchett is here. And she's not here. I talked to her over the thing. But we had a nice talk. I looked at her while I talked to her over the video. I feel like we connected. I feel like we got into some stuff. But mostly just what a charming, intelligent, insanely talented human to sit there and talk to for over an hour. Just fucking amazing. She's starring in this new limited series called Mrs. America, streaming now on FX on Hulu. And it was actually the second time we talked. The first time we talked, you know what? Let me explain to you what happened later. I've got some stuff going on. It's actually, I'm kind of, it was a jarring day today. I actually recorded this a couple of days ago because I woke up to the news that little Richard had passed away. It's tragic in that it's as tragic as when any artist goes, but it's not like he was young. But he was great. Little Richard was great. He was the drive shaft of rock and roll in a way that nobody else was. One of the primary architects of the thing. That he just Little Richard just, his fucking intensity and groove pulsed all the way through it. All the way through it, right till today, but certainly through, it's just, he was a force, man. And he passed away. And I have this box set, this mono box set of his first 5 records, I think. I don't even remember where I got it, but it's out there. And I was so happy I had it because I put it on and it made me remember that Little Richard was the reason I'm 56. It's not my music per se, but it was certainly my dad's music. And it kind of brought me back to that place. You know, there was a couple of records that got played a lot in the car when I was a kid. The soundtrack to American Graffiti was one, and then some Dick Clark collection was another. Oh, yeah, and the Buddy Holly collection, we had that. And Buddy Holly covered Slippin' and Slidin', which was a Little Richard song. And obviously the Beatles covered a couple of Little Richard songs. And I came to Little Richard that way. I was a kid, but it was just mind-blowing. The pace of it lights you up. It fucking lights you up. And then it just got me into that place where I was thinking about things I got from my dad. And then I started to realize, I kind of thought, well, this is what connects me and my dad. From when I was a little kid, that, he shared this with me. But it made me realize that a lot of the things that I kind of think I shared with my dad, it was just me watching my dad get excited about something. Granted, that's sort of sharing it, but it wasn't like he pulled me aside and said, I'm going to teach you something. It was just like he would put on this music, Buddy Holly, the Big Bopper, Little Richard. But he would get so jacked in the car listening to Buddy Holly. It was exciting. It's like, look, he's not yelling and he's not sad. He's singing along. It was like, oh my God, this stuff is making my dad feel better. What is it? So I don't know if that's really like my dad and we share this thing, that we have this, my dad gave me the gift of music. It was just sort of like, oh, thank God he's singing. What is this stuff that works? But the truth of the matter is it connected with me. That 1-4-5 thing, like that's all I ever wanted to do. It's all I ever wanted to play. It's all I ever wanted to learn how to play. It definitely dug in, and we definitely lost one of the greatest ever. The greatest. There is no music without him. There is no rock and roll without him. No David Bowie, no Ramones, no Lou Reed, there's nothing. There's nothing without him. So that was kind of sad. It got me listening to a lot of music lately. Like today I listened to all 5 of that box set, and then I threw on John Lennon's rock and roll album, which is an odd album, but it was great to, kind of follow that. And then I did some a Gene Clark record. The Other, I think it's called. Someone sent that to me. What a great fucking record that is. Just doing a lot of time, taking stuff in. Being a student again. Not just enjoying stuff, but kind of like, why is this good? Why is this great? Asking those questions again. Not just taking it all for granted or taking someone's word for it, but sort of taking it in, taking it in. Hey, Google, where was Little Richard born?
Little Richard was born in Macon, Georgia.
Hey, Google, which Little Richard songs did the Beatles cover?
On the website Variety.com, they say, The Beatles, Long Tall Sally. Start here when it comes to covering Little Richard with all the rabid intensity required. Captured during a drunken, legendary concert at the Star Club in Germany, live.
Okay, thank you. So, I'm sad about Little Richard, but I was happy to listen to all those songs today. It was kind of fucking amazing. But nothing lasts forever, right, folks? So how come for some itchy allergy eye sufferers, it seems like allergy season never ends? If you've had it with rubbing your itchy allergy eyes all the time, you need Pataday Once Daily Relief. Pataday contains the #1 prescribed eye allergy itch relief ingredient, and now it's available without a prescription. With Pataday, just 1 drop once a day works fast and lasts all day. Relief season is here to stay. Get Pataday online and in stores everywhere. So it's been kind of an intense few days over here at the house. Had a little COVID scare. Somehow or another, Lynn came down with something. I don't know how. We're both always, if we go out, we're masked, we're gloved, we're out there doing limited engagement. She had to go to the doctor for a thing last week. I don't know, but we go to the supermarket occasionally. But somehow, 2 days ago, she had a sore throat and a little bit of a fever, and I'm like, fuck, here it comes, here it is. We're there. We got it. Or she did, anyways. And turns out she got scheduled for a test because we live in California where you can get a test. No COVID. So then it becomes like, how did she fucking get something else? You get this idea in your head, it's the only fucking disease out there right now. That there's but it does sort of like, no matter how many precautions you take, unless you're in a hazmat suit, the bug can get in. Some bug can get in. The bacteria are all over everything. They're everywhere. Somehow or another, something got in. Like a sore throaty strep thing. No lung thing, no COVID. But she went and got swabbed and said it was quite an experience. She said she got her brain tickled. But thank God it's not that. And she happened to have a Z-Pack around, so we'll see if that clears it up, and hopefully I won't get sick. But COVID is not the only sickness out there. Always a lot of sickness out there. Man, I wish we all could get tested everywhere in the country. Had some sort of national government supported and provided testing situation so we know how we can start living life again and who needs help and who doesn't. Everyone needs help now. But she's okay. She is all right. Hey, Google, what are the symptoms of strep throat?
According to Mayo Clinic, Common symptoms include sore throat, fever, and swollen lymph nodes in the neck. Rarely, complications can involve the heart or kidneys.
Oh. All right, well, I'm not going to tell her that part. I did want to read one other email if I could. It says, free speech in the subject line. Hello, Mr. Marin, listening to your conversation with Liz Garbus just now, and you all were talking about the problems with unbridled free speech in the age of the internet and social media. My thought is that free speech should remain unbridled, but internet anonymity should be eliminated. If people had to own what they put out onto the web, they might be a little more civil and responsible. A right to free speech shouldn't mean freedom from the consequences of that speech. The internet is more like broadcasting than it is like assembling in a group. Broadcasters have to register who they are and are responsible for what they put out. Anyway, that's my 2 cents. There was another email here. I can't seem to find it about that, about mediated speech. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, yeah, here it is. Great episode with Liz talking about free speech. Lots to chew on, but is what's on the internet speech? It's not exactly humans speaking to each other. There's an intermediary, the platform, and laptop, so it's processed at best. And what it's best at is spreading the whatever it is that's being spit out. It just doesn't seem like we're closer to realizing the difference. Anyway, thank you for being as candid and honest as you are on your show. Always thoughtful, be safe, and be well. You too. I see, again, Gordo 89 STX. But who is that guy? Am I talking to him? It is an interesting question. How do you reel that back in, given that it has the power to influence so many with such utter bullshit? It really isn't about speech anymore, is it? It's something else, and I'm sure we'll. This seems like an intellectual conversation that has to evolve in the middle of a crisis around what the fuck is true and what isn't. We don't have time for that. All we have time for is that the hope that some people will, source their shit. And it's what's incredible to me is that the QAnon crowd and the conspiracy crowd, whether they know what's up or they don't, they are the biggest suckers in the world. They just kind of buy that shit hook, line, and sinker. And they call the people that watch whatever they consider mainstream media or whatever. My sources, I don't know I watch some mainstream media, but I also read some newspapers. I try to mix it up, and I trust the credibility of the sources for the most part. And if I don't, then I go a little deeper. But it just seems they believe whatever feels good. Yet somehow or another, we're the ones being duped. Not the ones that say scamdemic or plandemic, the big sort of overarching conspiracy to what? Of course, man, if you take a bunch of shit and put it together from history and mash it into the narrative that you want, that's satisfying and implies some broader sort of conspiracy that you want to believe, and that you've got the secret truth about this huge thing. Why wouldn't you? If you're a sucker. So look, she was one of the first. We started doing these video chats where I can see the person I'm talking to, but we don't record the video. It just helps me connect. And Cate, when we set it up, we were doing it on the platform we were using, but it didn't work on her iPad, and all she had was an iPad. She didn't have a computer. So we were doing it, and then as a backup, she said she would record it on her phone on the voice memo. And we talked for like 45 minutes to 50 minutes when she said, "Oh, no, you're going to hate me." And it had gone off at like 13 minutes. So then we had to figure out for the new version, we had to figure out a way to protect ourselves and also use Zoom, which she could use on the iPad. We have a couple of things we're using to get these conversations, but we wanted to share the first 10 minutes. I guess it was a FaceTime call, basically. And this was the first 10 minutes of a 50-minute conversation that got lost. I'm in my garage. This was a garage of my house, and I had to make it into another house, basically.
English is not your first language, is it?
Absolutely.
This was the garage of my house.
Yes.
And who's Gimme Shelter? Well, that's good. That's a
the house